All right, good evening. Welcome, everybody. I'll call the meeting to order. The Bennington Public Schools Board of Education on this November 10th at 6 o'clock. First item on the agenda, we will do our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, our meetings are governed by the Nebraska Open Meetings Act, a copy of which is located on the back wall. And thank you, Jody, for verifying publication and notification of our meeting this evening. Our first item on the agenda is our public forum, which is a chance for the public to come and speak with the board about anything. We usually limit time to about 5 minutes or less, and we ask that you limit personnel or student topics for after the meeting. If you're interested in speaking with the board, there's gold colored papers in the back on the table. We just ask you to fill that out and bring it up here to Jody, and we're happy to hear from you. It's a quiet bunch tonight. Anybody wishing to speak with the board? So you have anything? Okay. All right, that brings us to our consent agenda, which includes the approval of the agenda, approval of the minutes from our Monday, October 13th, 2025 regular meeting, presentation of our November bills for approval and payment, as well as our personnel report. And I believe Jeremy and Tim, you guys had bills. Was there anything of note this month that you would care to share with us?
I'll get the track repair on there for $27,351. So that was
How about the high school?
very bad. So yeah, no, everything else is pretty decent. Great.
Okay. All right, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Tim, no.
Second by Tim. Any further discussion? All right, Jody, call the roll, please.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Allison.
Yes. Motion passes. All right, next up is our reports and presentations to the board, and we'll begin this evening with Mr. Boyes with our elementary school report.
Yes. All right. Good evening. Chad Boyes, Anchor Point. Good to see you all again. It was a busy month in October at the elementaries. We had parent-teacher conferences. You can see we had very good attendance again. We had Halloween. We had Red Ribbon Week. We had a lot of craziness, but I do want to spotlight this month our student leaders. So we partner with Region 2. All of us administrators have the opportunity to be part of Region 2. And by being a member of that, we sponsor a leadership summit at UNO every year, and we get to send 4 to 5 students from each school. We were able to send 4 students from each school, 5 I believe in Pine Creek, and then sponsors for each. They do a lot of great breakout sessions, but it's really a great opportunity for our kids to get on a bus together, go down to UNO, build those relationships, and also build some pretty great leadership skills with some other kids around the metro area. So our kids came back pumped and stoked, and were ready to use a lot of those skills around the building. So it was a good month at the elementaries. Any questions?
Yes,
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up our middle school report, Mrs. Rucker.
Renee Rucker, principal at Bennington Middle School. Like the elementaries, we had our conferences in October as well. Our turnout was pretty average, and as you can see, 6th grade is always a little higher, and it decreases by the time the students get to 8th grade. What I would like to highlight, though, is the unearthing learning. Our 7th grade science students had a really unique opportunity, and they created their own Mesosaurus museum to showcase their knowledge of the tectonic activity, plate motion, and earth layers. We were able to partner with UNL's paleontologists. They actually came and were part of the student-led panel, and then they went through the students' exhibits. It was so fun to see the kids explain what their exhibit's about, share their learning. The paleontologists asked questions. We had some people from district office that came, so we really appreciated that. Teachers, students were all really excited. Questions for me on that?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up is our high school report with Mr. Linderty.
Greg Lambert, Bennington High School Principal. I'm just going to point out a few things that are going on in our Fine Arts Department. That first bullet there, 13 students representing Bennington High School next weekend down in Lincoln for the All-State Choir and Band Showcase. They go through several workshops there around high-quality musicians, learn some new music, they're challenged, and then they do a performance on the Friday night. Then we have the one-act play, and I just want to point out that on the 18th, which would be a week from tomorrow, is the home performance. So 7 o'clock up at the Fine Arts Center. Admission is free, and it's about a 30-minute play that will be worth your time. Voices, it should say Voices of the Titanic, so it's more of a drama-type theme this year, but it is a high-quality production. And then the last one, anybody in the community wanting to support our student council, they are hosting their fall blood drive this Wednesday from 8 to about 2 o'clock. So student council puts that on, they organize, they recruit, they promote, and then hopefully achieve levels of donations, which usually result in scholarship dollars available to our members. Questions for me? Thank you.
Student services with Mr. Bombay.
Hello, Dan Bombeck, Student Services. My report's fairly short tonight. Just wanted to highlight the numbers, October numbers that we get. Each October, the state does their official count for what we're going to do a lot of things with throughout the year for what they make decisions on for us. So October 1st is kind of an important date for us. In the special education world, you can kind of see the comparison of what we have throughout the last 4 years. This is the years only that I've only included the years that we have all of our current schools available. Right now, you can see the biggest gains in Anchor Point and Bennington South Middle School. Those two tended to have a heavier load of kindergartners coming into Anchor Point as well as new move-ins. That area is building out, and then Bennington South Middle School tended to receive quite a few fifth graders this last year. So we'll keep an eye on that as we move into next year. We anticipate that the high school will be receiving quite a few eighth graders going up there, and it's going to put a little more pressure on them, so we're planning for that. Any questions?
That's something I just wanted to add on there as I was looking through this, I just did some quick math, and this has been a couple weeks, so bear with me, but this is increasing our special education population by roughly about 6% a year, when our student growth has been about 3% a year. So we are obviously growing with students, but we're also growing within our population and how many we receive services as well. So just something for us to keep in mind as we move into the future.
Thank you. Dr. Tyndall.
Good evening, Shannon Tyndall, Director of Elementary Education. In our CIA Curriculum Instruction and Assessment report tonight, I highlighted our math adoption, what's going on, and the professional development activities that were held on October 16th. What I really want to focus on tonight is my last two sections of my report, accountability. Nebraska has school accountability, and it's called the A-Quest, and it measures quality education systems. It's based on 6 tenets, and then we receive a performance rating of excellent, great, good, and needs improvement. Some of the things they look at is state test scores, graduation rates, attendance rates, student participation, and year-to-year improvement. We'll get those classifications coming up. They'll be released to the public on November 26th. If you want more information, you can visit the link in the report. And second, ACT scores for our graduating class of 2025, so the class that graduated last spring. You can see that we had a composite score of 21.9, which was the same as the last 3 years. We do exceed the state average that ranges from 19.2 to 19.1. You can see in the chart below the different subject categories. We score highest in reading, followed by science. I did want to highlight a change with the national test. That science portion will no longer be required. So say a student takes it on the weekends or at another site, they do not have to take the science portion. Our state requires all juniors to take the ACT, and they will continue to require the science portion of the test. There's 15 states that have statewide requirements for ACT for all students. You can see that 18.4 is the average for other states. And so we do quite a bit better statewide and definitely district-wide. So we're proud of those scores, and we continue and always are looking at ways to improve them. If you want to see the government release about other Nebraska, how we compare to other states, it is also linked in there. Any questions for me? Thank you.
Right, our operations report.
Good evening, Matt Williams, Assistant Superintendent. Starting to get into hiring season here, had a chance to go to another job fair here at UNL this last week, or 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry. Visited again with a lot of prospective teachers, student teachers, students that are interested in practicums coming to Bennington. And so we'll look to try to see if we can get some more placements from the University of Nebraska at Lincoln. This past summer, I just want to highlight, this past summer, had an opportunity to partner with Midland University to work on a paraprofessional to teacher pathway for our paraprofessionals in Bennington. It was called the Grow Your Own program, and applied for that. There was a grant through the university, from NDE that Midland worked with the Department of Education towards that grant and that funding opportunity, and we were fortunate to have 3 of our paraprofessionals at the elementary level here in Bennington that got into that program, where their tuition is paid for them to work towards an elementary special education degree or an early childhood degree. They had to have a certain number of credits before they started the program to be eligible, but we did have 3 staff members that are currently in the Grow Your Own program at Midland. Was contacted again by Midland this year, and they have another grant that they're working on with NDE to try to secure funding for what's called 3 to Teach. Same type of program for paraprofessionals that would then have a 3-year program. The Grow Your Own program is a 2-year program. It's year-round. The 3 to Teach would be a 3-year program for anyone that really doesn't have any college credit that wanted to work as a paraprofessional in the district and have an opportunity to go to Midland and earn their, at this time, K-6 or 7-12 special education degree. So really good opportunity for our staff here that we're working with Midland, or at least 3 staff members currently, and hopefully we have the opportunity to have a few more that can jump on board with that maybe starting next year as well. So just wanted to give you that report. I don't have anything else for my report tonight unless you have some questions about, we do have, I guess, a couple of construction actions that have happened here over the last month. We have the windscreens finally up at the tennis courts and the lights are going in as we speak. And we do have ground that's being built up at the new high school site. We have our first on-site meeting tomorrow. We've been virtual here now for a long time, but we're going to have our first meeting in the trailer. So it feels real that we're moving forward. So questions I can answer. Thank you.
Superintendent report.
All right, I'll start with the bond sale update. Previously discussed that we'll be having our first bond issuance for around $55 million. Plan for that to be in the middle of January. Continue to move forward with that. Have a ratings call with Standard & Poor in the middle of November to establish our district bond ratings before that goes out. And so I'll meet with them later this week. We'll get that rating, and then D.A. Davidson will do all that's necessary to allow us to sell those bonds. Still planning on the middle of January. If something changed, market conditions or whatever, and D.A. Davidson felt like it was right to execute earlier, we'd be able to, but as of now, January. I'll plan to bring this back to you with the details of it in probably January or February's meeting once we know, what the final information was. Second thing I have on there is health insurance rates. Again, just kind of a reminder, Bennington Public Schools, like most schools in the state of Nebraska, are part of the EHA, or the Educators Health Alliance, which is 90,000 folks are on within our health insurance plan. It's the largest plan in the state of Nebraska. And so with that, working through Blue Cross Blue Shield, There's a group that helps govern that plan. This year's health insurance increase is 7.25%, which is pretty darn high. I'll be honest, when I first came out, I had quite a bit of sticker shock. But the more I look around, it sounds like this is actually fairly low compared to a lot of private industries and what people are seeing in healthcare. And so not excited about the 7.25%, but that is what we have for next year, and we'll figure it out from here. Third thing on there is our free and reduced percentages. So October 1, NDE pulls all of our data, so that would be all of our students and all of their information. And then through that data, we start to utilize that for planning for the upcoming years. This year, our free and reduced percentage is right at 13.09%. And so it's an increase of 95 students. We went from 11% to 13%. And that might feel a little awkward, like that's quite a jump within 1 year. It's actually a little bit of a correction. And so if you remember a year ago, previously they had a direct certification was being used to create free and reduced percentages. And so if you were on direct, on any type of benefits, you automatically got put onto it. That went away last year, right about this time. And so then you had to fill out the form in order to be eligible for free and reduced. And so what happened to our free and reduced last year, we went from 13%, or I think 14% to 11%. And so this year we're back to 13. So it's probably more of a leveling to what we've used or seen in the past. In 23-24, we were 13.9. 22-23, we were at 12.95. And so kind of where we were before. Last year was more the anomaly than this year. But you can see the percentages by building and then district as a whole. As a district, we have 577 students that are receiving free or reduced lunches. Lastly, just want to go over some valuation information, just again, a yearly update of where we're at. When we break down, this time of year, we receive from the Department of Revenue how our valuation is broken down by different categories. And so we're able to see what percentage of our valuation comes from personal property or residential, commercial, and ag. And so kind of the highlights in there, our residential property flatlined as a percentage. And so while we did go up 9.3% this year, as a percentage, our residential stayed at 89.6, last year's 89.9. And so pretty close, right at that 90%. Our commercial is one that we look at pretty closely each year because we know that we're going to dig into this a little bit more. It's one that we lag behind most all school districts in the state of Nebraska. And it increased, so that's the good part. If you remember last year, we were excited. It went from 4.4 to 6.1. This year it went from 6.1 to 6.2. And so we are still trending in the correct direction, but probably not as fast as everybody would hope for in that category. And then our ag is the other one where we went from 3.3 up to 3.6. And so it did go up a little bit. It's generally been right in that area. It has been for years as a percentage. As far as our breakdown, most of our land is within Douglas County, and so that accounts for about 97% of our total valuation. Washington County is about 2.8%. So that's the breakdown by county. If you scroll down a little bit, please. Digging in a little bit more on commercial. This is something that we are unique with. I just want to talk a little bit more about. Generally, if you took the entire state and as an average, you generally see the school district, their percent of valuation as commercial is about 15%. We are at 6%, and so we are fairly low. Just to give you some examples around the metro, Ralston's the most at 51%. Places that we get compared to, Elkhorn. Elkhorn's at 21%. Their commercial valuation is $2.4 billion. Their commercial is almost as much as our entire school district population. And so when we talk about the amount of valuation that we have per student, that makes us highly equalized and then thus so dependent on state aid. A lot of it does come from the commercial side of it. We have a different story than other places do. And so Elkhorn's at 21%, $2.4 billion. Gretna is obviously the other district that's growing as fast as we are, a little bit ahead of us, of course. They're almost at $800 million in commercial, and they're up to almost 13% of their total valuation is commercial now. And so we all know when you drive through Gretna, there's just a lot going on there as far as the commercial side. But again, they're a decade ahead of us, and they're at 12%. And so for us to believe that we're going to go from 6 to 12 to 15 quickly probably isn't factual. The hope is we just continue to make gains and get from 6 to 7, 7 to 8, and so on. We've got to assume that our commercial will continue to grow as our population grows. You know, you typically start businesses where people are at, because that's how you can make money. And so it's good to see we're still trending in the right direction. Hopefully it continues to increase in the future as well. Questions on that? Thank you.
All right, next up is our committee reports. I know the Building and Finance Committee has met several times. I believe we have some action items on that, so I don't know if there's anything extra other than the action items. Do you guys have anything from the curriculum committee you wanted to address? Just the action items. Okay, perfect. All right, next up, no coordinator report this month, so that brings us to our spotlight report. I saw some of our athletic trainers. Hey, here's Liz. All right. Our two trainers at the high school are going to talk with us tonight in our spotlight report. Oh, no, we're back here.
Hello. I'm Liz Lombard. I'm one of the athletic trainers at Bennington High School, and this is Alicia Simmons, the other athletic trainer at Bennington High School. We are children's Nebraska employees, and we are overseen by physician Dr. Cody Moffitt. Okay, so we just kind of wanted to give you guys a brief overview of kind of what we do. These are kind of some of the main things that we're going to go through, and we'll kind of go through each one in depth in the different slides. Okay, so safety of athletics at Bennington High School. So concussions is always a huge one. We are awesome. We love that in this district that we get to keep all of our concussions in-house if we want to, if we feel we need to. So they don't have to ever see a physician. They can be treated, evaluated, treated, returned to play fully through releation, right? Which is really awesome. It helps us to be able to streamline things, and it helps us to be able to keep costs low for some of our venues too. That maybe that's an issue of trying to get to a doctor, or maybe they're not from here and they don't have a regular doctor or something like that. So for assessment purposes, we use something called SWAY. The kids do a baseline and a post-injury. It's really cool. It's app-based. We used to use impact testing, which was they had to sit on a computer in a computer lab. This is all app-based, so like we can do it right there on the sideline on our phone. We can do a quick 5-minute screening, and it compares it to their baseline for us. So it's a really cool tool that we can use in our evaluation. And then the other piece of our evaluation is we use bombs, which is some vision stuff that we can check their eyes to see if they're working together properly. And it can give us some really good information about, do we need to put them in concussion protocol? Maybe we don't, that type of stuff. And then we use those bombs exercises also with treatment and rehab. And treatment's kind of changed a little bit recently in the past, 5-10 years, where we've actually put them through quite a bit of light aerobic exercise while they're still having symptoms. Before it was like, nope, let's shut them down, put them in a dark room. We don't have to do any of that anymore. So we're able to keep these kids active a lot earlier than what we used to be, which helps them mentally too, because these young athletes, they're so active and they need that. So that's been very helpful to us. And then there's the return to learn and return to play. So assisting them with their classroom activities and advocating for them with their teachers, and then returning them back to their sport through a progression. Some of the other things with safety that we do, heat is always a big one. So we started using something called wet bulb globe thermometer, and that gives us a huge range of things. It takes into account heat, humidity, direct sunlight, the wind speed, all of these things, and it gives us a number that tells us if it's too hot to practice or not. We have a range through the NSAA now that has different color coding on it, and so depending on what color coding category that number falls into, determines for us what we allow the athletes to do outside or not, or if they have to be inside. And then we do a lot of injury prevention stuff. This happens a lot during the summer, but we work with strength and conditioning quite a bit and put together like specific injury programs. We have a really good team at Children's too that we can kind of pull from to utilize for some of those programs as well. And then we do a lot of preventative rehab prior to taking it over the summer and stuff like that. So one of the biggest things that I want to highlight with this is our Bennington Fire and Rescue training. Every year we put together a training, and that's the picture you see up there, where we teach not only our football coaches, but we teach the entire Bennington Fire and Rescue staff how to properly remove equipment from a football player if they have a spine injury. So if they have a spine injury, we want to minimize movement as much as possible. And so we train them on how to help us take that equipment off. This year, we actually expanded it and we have included Omaha Concordia and Omaha Westview in this training as well, because Bennington Fiber services them as well. So this has been a really cool thing. It allows us to have, like, if we're on the sideline of a freshman football game, it may just be one of us. We may not have any other trained medical staff with us. So all of our coaches know how to assist in what exact actions they're supposed to do to help us safely get that equipment off of that child before we transport them. So injury assessment, we can assess basically anything. I just kind of put a couple of things up there. So we do the on-field evaluation, kind of that initial injury happens on the field. Can we get them off the field safely? And then our sideline evaluation, determining if they can go back to the game or not. And then we reevaluate them in the athletic training room. That kind of gives us a better look at, like, what kind of rehab do we need to do? What kind of treatment do they need? Do we need to modify practice? Do they need to see a physician? Those types of things. And then some of the injuries that we go through. Concussions is always a big one. Like I said, we do sway and bombs quite a bit. And concussions is always a tough one because I think people think it's very black and white, but it has a huge number of things that go into our evaluation and the rehab with those kids. So we utilize all these tools to kind of put that together to get them assessed and through their concussion recovery. Rehab and treatment, these are just two pictures, of course, not of ours, but just kind of some ideas of what we do. We have lots of different modalities, like you would see kind of in like a PT clinic. One of our newest ones we got was blood flow restriction. We've actually started using that with a couple of our athletes recently. We use it a lot for post-surgical cases where they're losing that muscle quickly, and so the blood flow restriction can allow us to gain more strength and more hypertrophy in that muscle quicker. So we've started using that one quite a bit. And then we can do any type of rehab program, so preventative post-injury, before surgery, after surgery, all the different things. And then we do a lot of taping and creasing also. This year, I feel like it's been a lot more than in past years. And then kind of one of the biggest things is the practice and game coverage. We are at on the sideline for almost all home events. It's determined by priority by risk of injury. So say if there's football and volleyball, football is going to be priority. We are contracted for a certain number of hours a week and a certain number of games per week each, game nights per week each. So we have to kind of play that a little bit and kind of figure out where our highest risk of injury is to cover that. And then we travel for all varsity football games. So then we travel for almost all postseason stuff. Some of it is, again, like if our hours limit us, then we may not get to it, but we, for the most part, get to all the competitions. And then we're here every day. So the really cool thing is these kids, once they see us, like, we're going to follow with them every single day. So if you think about like a kid who goes to a physical therapist, they may go once or twice a week. These kids are seeing us every single day, so we can monitor their progress. We can progress them pretty quick because we're seeing them every single day. And then this is our children's sports medicine team. This team changes a little bit every year with our students and our residents and stuff like that. But we have a wonderful team behind us, and we are very fortunate to be part of children's team. We have direct access to schedule with our 2 sports medicine physicians, but then we have a whole array of specialists that we can get kids into quickly. So in previous years, we've had trouble, like a kid that needed in cardiology but couldn't get in for 6 months. We're able to get them in a lot quicker through our direct physicians. So that's really nice to have that team behind us. And as a district, I think it's awesome that we have that to partner with in our care for the athletes. Any questions?
No, I don't think so.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks a lot.
I did just want to say we very much appreciate the partnership with Children's. They've been a great partner with the district for a long time, and obviously we got some awesome athletic trainers through there as well. So it's just been they're definitely a great place to work with.
No lobbyist report yet. That was very helpful.
Thank you.
All right, no unfinished business, so that moves us to our new business, which our first item is for us to discuss, consider, and take action on district purchases. The Building and Finance Committee met on the 5th of November to discuss, and as you know, with our bus fleet is aging and the need and growth we've seen in that area, the transportation folks have found a bus for us to purchase, and so we are seeking approval tonight with a unanimous recommendation from the Building and Finance Committee. Did I miss anything?
I did great.
All right, there
Just
we
out of
go.
curiosity, how much are new ones? Like brand new ones?
Brand new bus, do we know pricing?
$130,000 to $150,000.
We generally try to buy them off lease, so they got 15 to 20,000 miles on them, a year or two old, and so they're basically like brand new buses. This is replacing a bus from, I think, 2002. Quite a few miles on it.
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys detailing out the maintenance schedule and when we need to replace, we put all that in place. And so we kind of have an idea of which ones we're replacing, which ones getting as new. Obviously, we'd like to get new ones faster, but go with what we've got, so. I move for approval of the purchase of a used bus from Truck Centers for the price of $99,850.
Second.
Thank you, Tim. Any questions, comments, discussion? All right, Jody, call the roll, please.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes. Motion passes. The next item is on the curriculum and personnel proposal side, but it looks like we are approving some trigger positions. Do you guys want to, Dr. Boss or committee members want to walk us through that?
I have a quick, just kind of recap. So as a reminder, due to our growth, as we work our way through our curriculum proposal process, a couple of years ago, we implemented some triggers, which essentially are positions that we know that we need based on what the student-to-teacher ratio is going to be within each of those buildings. These are considered really skinny and like needs, like there's no way around it. We absolutely need to do this or else the student-to-teacher ratio in that particular class is going to be unmanageable. And so we put those in and we continue to refine them each year and make sure that they really match where we're at. And so this year, there were 4 positions triggered. 2 of them were at the high school with a high school science teacher. The second was a high school social studies teacher. And then 2 were a speech language pathologist. And so those are the speech language pathologist. We've got a little bit of contracted services that would take over, and then also have 80% reimbursement through special education funding. And so all 4 of the positions are going to cost just under $400,000. That's an estimate. We just base it on estimate. We don't know who the folks would be at this point. But we would also, through this process, we believe that we're going to reduce 1 elementary position this year. So that'll save a little bit of money. In addition, we'll have that special education reimbursement for 80% of the SLPs. And so the total cost of the district would be about $140,000 for the 4 positions, if approved.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? I appreciate you guys being thoughtful about how we're doing it and making sure we're approving positions to have the reimbursement too, and being efficient. So thank you for your work on that. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? All right.
I move to accept the recommendations by the curriculum committee for 2026-27 curriculum and personnel proposal number 1, as outlined in the November 6th, 2025 curriculum committee report and pending 26-27 budget approval.
Thank you, Steve. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Joe. Jody, call the roll.
Allison,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Motion passes. All right, the next item of new business is for us to review our 24-25 audit report. And I believe an individual from iBailey is here.
Yeah, we have a substitute coming in today, it's Justin Ho. So I'll let him take the floor and go through his
He's
presentation.
been here before, so we don't promise that.
Well, it was a last minute change due to an illness, so.
A couple years ago, I recognize you.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here and for leading us through a summary of the report.
Absolutely, thank you for having me. We'll move relatively quickly on the next slide here.
Is your microphone on?
Might not be.
Just want to make sure folks that are listening can hear. Bravo.
Just get a little closer to it.
Sometimes they die, so. Thank you, that's okay. Yeah.
Here's a slide about the audit opinion. So this is really what we're looking at is in an audit, your result here, you have a clean or an unmodified opinion. This is the best result you can get out of a financial statement audit. Additional language in that letter talks about the financial statements are prepared on a modified cash basis, which is allowed and frankly preferred by the Department of Ed. And ultimately, your financial statements don't have material misstatements. The balances that are in there are correct and appropriate. We did have 3 audit adjustments as a result of our procedures. One, to reclassify some tax revenues and record the cash that's at the county treasurer. That's the modification for a pure cash basis. We have one correcting opening fund balances at various funds for that cash at the county. Both of these are very consistent entries on a year-to-year basis that we work with the district to record. And then one here reclassifying and transfer from the general fund to the activity fund to get things in the right spot for the AFR, which is our annual financial report, which you file on November 1st with the department. On the next slide here, since the district expends more than $750,000 in federal funds, you get to do a single audit, which is a compliance-based audit focused specifically on the rules around different grants that get selected over time. This year, the special ed or the IDEA cluster is the major program, represents about 43% of your total federal dollars at the district level. Total federal dollars are about 1.6 million and change. A little decrease from 24 as those COVID funds run out. ESSER program is going to get spent down and that's all gone. So it's a decrease overall. The fun, if you're in my line of work right now, is that the compliance supplement, which sets the rules about how we test these programs, is not final. We have a draft version that we've done our testing based on. We cannot issue that report right now because it's not final. And I'm imagining it's low priority once the government reopens. So we'll see how that goes. We will get that hashed out. On the next slide here, we get an understanding of your internal controls and the processes as we work through a financial statement audit. We don't audit your internal controls, we don't test them, but we do get an understanding of how things are designed. And we have 2 comments, and again, these are repeat comments from previous years. They're things we want to make you all aware of in your role as board members. There is a deficiency in the segregation of duties, and so you have a relatively limited number of people involved in financial transactions from start to finish. And so with that, you have an enhanced risk around those transactions. That does get mitigated by oversight provided by the committees and the board as you review transactions, sign checks, all of these different things. There are checks and balances in place, but it is imperfect, and so we bring that to your attention. And the other comment here is that the district requests us as the auditors to assist in drafting the financial statements, putting together in the right format, and also the schedule of expenditure of federal awards, which is all those federal grants that come through the district. And so my firm, we can't be part of your internal control processes. So absent our doing those things for the district, there is a chance the financials could have a misstatement. Have a couple of trend slides coming up here. This one, ADM from 21 to 25, here at 4,266. That is a 22% growth in your average daily membership over that 5-year period. Looking a little deeper here in the general fund, this is kind of where the district's reserves sit. And then they will look at this and they will look at your tax base and all these things as you go to market with the bonds here this winter. If we trend the fund balance here, a couple takeaways. In 2021, that's $11.8 million of fund balance, and it represents about a 32% reserve on the expenses in 2021. 2025, that's $14.8 million. So in dollars to dollars, it's 25% growth, but it is a little bit less. It's about 27% of your fiscal 25 expenses.
Just as a reminder, we paid down those bonds out of this fund, so this was a strategic spend down last year.
Your other kind of miscellaneous funds as you go on here, bond fund, $6 million in 2021 with $137 million of bonds outstanding. 2025, that's $10.4 million of a reserve with $159 and change million of bonds outstanding. That does not represent or include the $112 million that was passed during fiscal 25, but those bonds haven't been issued, so they're not in those numbers. Special building fund, here is next. This fund varies over time. It goes up generally when bonds get issued. It goes down, as we spend those funds for the capital expenditures. 2021 to 22, that change primarily there is Stratford Elementary and Bennington South Middle School coming online. And here you'll see in 2026, as the bonds get issued, you'll see that fund balance come up, and then you'll also see it go down over the subsequent 2 years as the new high school gets constructed. So kind of a variable fund that moves around over time. That is what I had for a formal set of talking points, but happy to try and field any questions that you might have.
And just want to note, going back to the findings on the audit, I know we ask this every year, but my understanding is sort of common for a district of our size. And
Yes.
So not unusual from your perspective.
Correct.
Just wanted to reiterate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A reminder, Justin, that's the lowest, there's different tiers or whatever, those are the lowest level of efficiencies, correct?
It's kind of the middle. The base becomes a controlled efficiency, and then a significant efficiency is something you would come to the board with, and sort of beyond that becomes a material weakness. There's like a big flaw in the process. We don't see that here at the district.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did want to quick thank Bailey, always a good partner to work with. We really appreciate all that they do for us. And, this started about 2 months ago. And so this is the result of a lot of work. And I also want to thank Michael Tice for all that he does, or T, excuse me, as our business coordinator. He puts in a lot of work to help make sure that all of our books are in line to make the audit go well, and then obviously works with Bailey for months to get to this point. So thank you to everybody on that.
All right, our next item of new business is for us to discuss, consider, and take action to approve the guaranteed maximum price by Housman Construction for the second high school project. I know this has been a passion point project for several months now, so anxious to hear kind of where we're at on this.
Yeah, so in June of 2022, which was a minute ago, Bennington Public Schools entered a construction manager at-risk contract with Housman. And under that agreement, Housman partnered with the district, the DLR, throughout the design phase, help provide cost estimates, scheduling guidance, all the constructability and everything. So as part of that contract, once the design gets to 70%, they get those and they start working the numbers to see what they believe that the total cost of the project is going to be. So we work through that, and then ultimately what they do, they'll be our general contractor, they'll manage all the subcontractors, they'll go work the whole construction process. Now we're at a point that they're going to set what's called a guaranteed maximum price, or a GMP. And so what the GMP does is it sets a cap on the project price. If the bids come in and it were to go over the guaranteed maximum price, Housman would be responsible for any of those overages. Let's say that it comes under the guaranteed maximum price when the bids come in, the district receives those funds back. And so at this point, what this does is the structure provides the district with some cost certainty, and it almost acts as an insurance policy up against the lid, what that would be. And so Housman received those, has worked their way through that, and is issuing a GMP of $98,431,752. And so talking about that amount, throughout the bond campaign process, we said the construction was going to cost $97,664,070. So that is $767,682 less than what you're seeing right there as a GMP. But this is still the exact same amount as what we anticipated. We are we believe that we're going to get issued some energy efficiency credits with the geothermal well field that is going to equal $767,682. And so when we were showing the construction cost, we were taking that off the number because it was going to offset it. Housman still has to build the geothermal well field before we would receive the credit, so it has to be added into the GMP. And so this number that you're seeing here is the exact same number as what we told the public throughout the bond campaign of what the construction costs were going to be. It is dollar for dollar the same. And so All in, it aligns directly with our initial total cost of the project of $124,645,829. It is the exact same amount as we said the construction portion of the project was going to be, and Hausman is recommending that as a GMP for your approval. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
Anybody have any questions? You know, this is the first construction manager risk project we've done, so just making sure everybody's comfortable with the process.
We're excited. It took a bit to get to here. I want to make sure though that we were able to deliver exactly what we said we would to the public and do it the amount that we also believe that we can do that for. So a lot of work with DLR, a lot of work with Hausman. One of the big advantages of the construction manager at-risk process is you're all in the same room all the time. And so obviously DLR worried about design along with costs and everything else. Hausman's worried about the constructability and making that work, and we're worried about all of it. And so being able to have those conversations together is really advantageous to get us to this moment. So pretty happy with where the GMP landed.
All right, I move to approve the guaranteed maximum price for the GMP not to exceed $98,431,752 with housing and construction, the second high school project, and authorize the superintendent to execute all related documents.
Second.
Jeremy, a second. Any further discussion or comments, questions? All right, Jody, call the roll, please.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes. Motion passes. All right, our last item for this evening is an executive session to discuss certificated staff negotiations. I would mention that we do not anticipate any action coming out of the executive session. And I wanted to review our upcoming meeting dates because I've done that in the past. So our next regular meeting is December 8th at 6 o'clock here in the district office. I'm certain we'll have some committee meetings in between before December 8th. And also a professional development opportunity, the NASD State Education Conference is coming up on November 19th to the 21st. And let Jody know right away if you're not already registered and would like to attend. All right. I move that we enter a closed session for the purpose of holding a strategy session regarding collective bargaining as an executive session as clearly necessary for the protection of the public interest.
Second.
Thank you, Tim. And Jody, call the roll, please.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Allison?
Yes. Motion passes. Any students that would like their paper signed, feel free to come up. We'll be happy to sign those before we go into executive session.
Yeah.